Hello everyone, welcome back to the next session of the metallurgy. Yes, in the last session we have dealt with electrochemical principle of the metallurgy, in which we have witnessed directly how aluminum is electrochemically separated by the help of a process called Hall-Héroult process. If you are not aware of it, I will give the description below. Just go back to the previous video, have a glance, have a look at it, and then come back to this video right here. Right. In this session, we are going to continue with the same refining process. To begin with, we will look into electrolytic refining. Yes. In the last class itself, we have dealt what is to deal with an electrolysis process. When I say electrolysis, the three things that must spark in your mind that anode, cathode and electrolyte. Okay, anode, when I say anode, it's a positively charged electrode. When I say cathode, it's a negatively charged electrode, and the electrolyte can be the salt solution of the same electrode. If they are separated, externally, those things can be the salt of the same electrode on both cathode and anode. Right. Here, this crude metal that we have concentrated previously can be refined by a process called electrolysis. With the help of a current, I am going to refine the crude metal. Okay. Where does it has been carried? It has been carried out in an electrolytic cell. When I say electrolytic cell, it is a composition of an cathode, anode and electrolyte. Okay, as I have mentioned, this electrolyte will definitely contain aqueous solution of salt of the metal, which means the metal which I am going to convert into the pure form, its own salt has to be taken in the form of an aqueous solution. Okay, fine. I have taken in the form of an aqueous solution. What's regarding the cathode and the anode? Yes, the impure metal which is called anode, which has to be refined, it has been taken as an anode in the form of a rod, which means the rod of an impure metal is taken in the form of an anode, and we have to take the pure metal in the very thin strip as cathode, which means the thin strip of the pure metal is taken as cathode. Yes, now we have got a clear idea that anode will have an impure metal, cathode will have a pure metal. Okay, I have taken the experimental setup is ready. What's regarding that? Okay, during electrolysis what happens? Right, the metal which has to be refined exists as an impure form in the anode that dissolves from it and passes into the solution. Okay, when the anode which contains the impure metal, it dissolves into the solution, the same salt solution of the metal which has an same ion which is existing as an ions in the anode will get away from the solution, which means, see, this is an electrolytic chamber which has an electrode, let just consider as a metal X, and this is an electrolytic solution which also contains the solution of an X. Okay, if it is this metal is a silver, this is a silver nitrate. As the reaction starts, from this electrode, silver gets as a silver ion into the solution. As soon as the silver ion gets into the solution, in the solution already there is an Ag plus which is existing there, that will come out of a solution. It is just like a mutual understanding, which means the electrode will say, okay, I will give one silver. Then if I give one silver, what will you give? Okay, I will give a pure form of a silver which you are about to deal with it. So that is what it's like, a mutual interaction between themselves. Okay, this electrolytic solution is ready to give the pure form of silver. The pure form of a silver which contains an cationic charge, which is already cation, will definitely go to the negative electrode. The negative electrode which is called cathode here, it will directly go to the cathode, which means the impure form of a metal comes from the anode and goes into the solution. The same ion from the solution gets deposited in the cathode. That's it. Okay, see, it is not that only this reaction will occur. during this electrolysis, there is also some electropositive impurities which is present in an anode, and they just settle down as an anode mud, which means we have got some electropositive impurities in the anode. Those electropositive impurities will just comes down and settle as anode mud. So these are all the whole process occurs here in electrolytic refining. Let us understand this with the help of an example. As I have mentioned, electrolytic refining of a silver. Right. As I told, pure form of a silver is taken in thin strips, which mean thin strip of the silver which is in the pure form is taken as a cathode, and anode consists of an impure silver rods, which mean it is impure. Okay, fine. Since I am going to refine silver, the electrolyte must contain the salt of the same metal which I have taken as an electrode, the salt solution. Exactly. So, which is acidified aqueous solution of an silver nitrate, which is AgNO3. So, this is what? Aqueous in the form of an aqueous solution. When I mention it as an aqueous solution, those silver nitrate will be dissolved separately as Ag plus in the form of an aqueous medium, and NO3 minus also exists there as an aqueous medium. Okay. What happens with the reaction? Okay, the experimental setup is ready. Now, I am going to refine silver. What happens there? What reaction actually occurs in anode and cathode? When a current is passed, you will be able to find the reaction that I am going to write both in anode as well as in cathode. Right. When I say anode, the reaction that could possibly occur at anode is oxidation. When I say cathode, the reaction that it could possibly occur there is reduction. So, which means we are very clear that oxidation occurs at anode, reduction occurs at cathode. Okay. Silver, which is taken in the form of an rod, which is in the solid state. What happens there? Silver oxidizes into Ag plus in an aqueous medium. So, thereby it is ready to give an electron. The silver which has converted into Ag plus, here it exists as an impure rod as an anode. Now, as soon as this Ag plus diffuses into the solution which has already Ag plus by dissolving the silver nitrate, this Ag plus, which is an aqueous solution, will take up the electron and deposit as pure form of a silver. And this deposition will definitely occur at cathode. Don't forget it. The previous reaction takes place at anode. The following reaction which is written below is taken in cathode. So, this is what the overall thing happens there. Right. So, here during the electrolysis, it is very clear that whatever I have said, it is mentioned very clearly. We know that at anode oxidation occurs. So, silver loses an electron and enter into the solution. Right. This positively charged cation will gain an electron by migrating towards the cathode and get deposited on the cathode. Okay. So, this is what the process called electrolytic refining. See, the example that I have stated here is silver. It is not that only silver can be refined with the help of an electrolytic refining. I can also refine zinc, I can also refine copper and the metals and so on. This is what the overall reaction behind this electrolytic refining. Next one, the next process of refining is widely used to refine semiconductors like germanium and silicon. So, silicon and germanium is widely used for refining through this zone refining process. This process happens with the principle of fractional crystallization. Okay, fractional crystallization. Okay, what happens there? Assume that this is a rod. The whole impure metal is taken in the form of a rod, and over which an induction heater is placed, mobile induction heater, very specifically mobile induction heater. When I say mobile induction heater, see what happens here. the mobile induction heater passes across this in this way. As soon as the mobile induction heater passes through this impure form of a metal, the mobile induction heater actually take the impurities along with itself in the molten region, which means if a metal starts to heat, if it goes above its melting point, it starts to get into a molten region, which means it starts to melt there, right? So this, since it's a mobile induction heater, it starts to move from one end to the other end. By the while, it takes the impurities along with it. So from this way, it is very clear that impurities prefer to stay in the molten region. Okay, let's check what happens here actually. Right, so I told you that this work on the principle of fractional crystallization. Fine. The impure metal will be taken in the form of a rod and it is widely heated using a mobile induction heater. Okay, what happens there? As I have mentioned, impurities goes along with it. Okay, see, this process is done repeatedly in order to remove all the impurities completely from it. So by the while, the end which is away from the induction heater will have a great rich of a pure metal. The place where the mobile induction heater is present, there you will be able to find the accumulation of an impure form of a metal. This is what actually happening here. Yes, we will witness it right now. See, this reaction, this process is done in an inert atmosphere. That's very prime point we must have in our mind. The impure metal is highly taken in the form of a rod here, and the one which you are able to find in the form of a circular disc is a mobile induction heater. As the mobile induction heater starts to flow from one end to the other end, the impurity stays in the molten region, which means the impurity is being collected down and placed it there itself. Okay, the other end, on the contrary, the other end will definitely have a pure form of a metal, which means as the mobile induction flows down, the mobile induction heater completely takes the impurities with it, thereby which results in the deposition of a pure form of a metal in the top of the region. This reaction is widely carried out in an inert atmosphere. So that's it with this zone refining. See, you are able to witness it. The upper part, which is completely silver in color, white in color, has the pure form of a metal. The molten region, the one which is flowing down, is the impure form. Right. So that's it with this zone refining. Right. Then we have got other method to refine, which is called vapor phase method. See, when I say vapor phase method, what it is the metal should be able to react with a suitable reagent, thereby with the help of a reagent it must form a volatile compound. I am coming again, the metal should be heated, should be reacted with the suitable reagent, so that the metal must be able to form a volatile compound with that reagent. Okay, the volatile compound that has been formed, the volatile compound will be heated to give the pure metal. See, it is just like X will react with Y to form Z, thereby Z is heated to give the X. See, X reacts with Y to form Z, Z is heated to give the X. You can ask me, sir, here also initially you have taken X, finally also it is X, then what's the difference there, sir? Initially it exists as an impure form, finally it exists as a pure form. So that is the word. Initially it will also exist as a metal only, but it is not in the pure form. If I need in the pure form, with the help of this vapor phase refining, for the reaction must occur, which means metal must be able to form a volatile compound with the reagent, and it is decomposed, which is heated to give the pure form of metal. So this is the basic principle for a metal which has undergo refining process with the help of vapor phase refining, in which we have got two processes, Mons process, Van Arkel process. Mons process is widely used for refining a nickel. Mons is the name of a scientist who introduced this coordination compound of a nickel. He is the first person to introduce this coordination compound of a nickel, which contain a metal carbonyl in it. Okay, let's get back to this Mons process. What they are doing, as I have told, impure metal, here it is nickel. So impure nickel will be heated in the form of stream of carbon monoxide. The reagent that they have used here is carbon monoxide, which means the nickel which is in the solid form and it is impure in nature will be heated with carbon monoxide at 350 Kelvin to form nickel tetracarbonyl NiCO4. The compound that has formed is volatile when this is heated further to give the purest form of a metal. So, this is what the first thing. So, this is the first step. Impure metal is heated to give a volatile compound at 350 Kelvin. Then the next one is when the volatile compound that has been formed here NiCO4 will be heated above 460 Kelvin to give nickel in the form of a solid and carbon dioxide goes just as a gas. The nickel that has been obtained here will be the purest form of a nickel. So, that is what, this is the outcome of this process. See, whenever we get a name with the name, the reaction name, with the scientist name, we have to consider that it is a very important thing, very important reaction. So, this is Mond's process of refining of nickel. Then, the next one is Van Arkel process for refining zirconium and titanium. Okay. See, in this reaction, the impure form of a zirconium or titanium are allowed to react with iodine. During this reaction, impurities will not take part in the reaction with the iodine, which means the one which is reacting with an iodine will be the purest form of a metal. It is very easy for us to separate it, right? Because the one which is reacting will definitely be a purest form because impurities doesn't react here, right? So, it will be very easy for us. Okay, right. What happens here? Here, what happens? Titanium reacts with iodine to form volatile titanium tetraiodide, and that titanium tetraiodide will be passed through the tungsten filament and heated about 1800 Kelvin. Hereby, we will be able to get purest form of a titanium. Right. See, the titanium which is in the impure form will be treated with iodine and this is heated at 550 Kelvin. We will be able to get titanium tetraiodide as an intermediate, and this titanium tetraiodide is heated above 1800 Kelvin. We will be able to get the purest form of a titanium, and iodine will be able to get as it is, and the iodine that we have got here can be reused. It can be reused for the other processes. In order to continue the process in the similar way, iodine can be used widely here. So, this is what overall reaction that happens here. Right. Here iodine is reused because of the fact that this impurity does not react with iodine. Have that in your mind. Right. So, this is what the Van Arkel process of refining zirconium and titanium. Then application part. We have learned certain metals and we are aware of those metals also. When I say it is an applications of an aluminum, what happens here? We know that aluminum conducts electricity and heat. Yes, it is widely used to store water also, which means it is not capable of undergoing corrosion so easily. Very first one. Okay, it resists corrosion. Then see, we know that since it is a metal good to conductor of heat and electricity, it is widely used as an heat exchanger and sink. And not only that, it is widely used for manufacturing cooking vessels. See, aluminum vessels, most of the people in India widely use aluminum vessel because it is quite cheap. That is the thing, right. Then when you visit hotel, you will be able to find a wrap which is used to wrap the foods. It is also mixture of aluminum wraps for packing foods. Then the next one is, we know that I can easily crush the aluminum just like that. Not it is very tougher as crushing the iron, which means it is not very strong. Okay. It can be used as an alloy. Alloy is a composition of a metal with the other metal, a metal with non-metal or even a metalloids. Okay, it's a mixture of metals, right? Here, aluminum can be used as a manufacture of alloy with the help of a copper, manganese, magnesium, silicon, etc. Because it is lightweight, it has been used for the manufacture of alloy along with these metals. And when the alloy based of aluminum is made with these metals, and it will be very strong when compared to the aluminum existing as ideally itself. So, this alloy is widely used for the manufacturing of aeroplane parts. Aeroplane parts, right. See, we know that we are able to store water with the help of an aluminum vessel because it resists what? Corrosion. Okay, right. It is widely used for the manufacturing of certain chemical reactors because it resists corrosion and the medical equipments, followed by its refrigerated units and gas pipeline because they are very light and it is capable of resisting corrosion. Due to this aspect, it is widely used for the manufacturing of all this. Then, aluminum's last one. Right, it is a good conductor of heat and electricity, we know it, right. It is widely used for the manufacturing of electrical cable, and to be very specifically, why I have mentioned here electric cable is, see, when we are about to construct a home, we used to buy an EB line, and through the main EB board, we will be getting an EB connection for a home. In the recent days, in the previous days, it will be used with the help of different alloy, but in the recent times, in order to enhance the flawless connectivity, the flawless flow of electricity, aluminum electrical cable is widely used here, right. Then, zinc. See, galvanization is a process through which a pure form of a metal is being extracted. Okay, for iron and steel industries, in order to prevent them from rusting and corrosion, this galvanization is a process which is done, which means this galvanization is a process which has been employed in order to prevent the oxidation of a metal, for which what we need to do, I need to coat a zinc over it, which means very clearly I will say, if I am going to construct a home, I just bought the iron rods which is required for the construction, but I do not have sufficient money in order to call the people who has to construct the home. Then still I didn't construct the home, I bought the iron rods, I have to keep it outside in the open atmosphere. When I keep the iron rods in the open atmosphere, what happens? Oxidation occurs. In order to prevent the oxidation, when oxidation occurs, rusting happens. Okay, in order to prevent that oxidation, what happens? I am going to galvanize it, which means I am going to coat a metallic zinc over the iron, which means we prevent the oxidation, which means it's a sacrificial, it's a sacrificial protection, I would say, because in order to prevent the oxidation of iron, zinc will say, no, you don't get oxidized. I will stay over you and I will get oxidized first, so that you will just stay as it is. So, this is one thing. And widely used for manufacturing the parts in the automobiles and electrical and hardware industries. Zinc oxide. Zinc oxide is widely used for the manufacture of paint, rubber, cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, plastics, inks, battery and textile and electrical equipment, which means it is used as one of the component in manufacturing of all this. Right. Zinc sulfide is a screen which is used for making luminous paint. Luminous paint means which is capable of glowing by absorbing the light in the daytime. Okay, fluorescent light and X-ray screen also. Right. With the help of zinc, I can also able to manufacture an alloy called brass, which is widely used as a communication equipment, which means the telephonic equipment and for the internet purposes, because it is also good, stable to corrosion. It is also stable to what? Corrosion. Then, after zinc, it is iron. We know that whatever the main part of uses of an iron is very clear for us, because iron and its alloys is widely used for the manufacturing of vehicles, cycle chains and the tools that we use. Okay. Then the tank which is used during the warfare purposes and the rifle barrels also. All these are widely used for the manufacturing of iron. Iron is used to manufacture all these things. Right. Not only this, the pump stoves initially we have and the pipe that we make in order to pass the water. In the cities we will be able to find a large pipe which is made up of iron. then the walls also. Fine. See, with the help of an iron, magnets can also be made. Not only that, alloys and compounds can also be made with the help of an iron and its compounds. Then the other thing is, in order to manufacture a stainless steel which is an alloy of an iron, okay, they are widely resistant to corrosion and very stable. That's what. Not only this, in various architecture purposes, in the manufacturing of bearings for vehicles and cutleries, all the cutleries is widely made up of this stainless steel, surgical instruments and jewelry, right. So, even for jewelry, low cost jewelry is widely used by the many people across our country, which is being manufactured with the help of this stainless steel, right. So, nickel steel, if I say it is a nickel steel and it is used for making cables, automobiles and aeroplane parts due to its light weight, that is what. Then chrome steel, here it is used for manufacturing cutting tools and crushing machine, right, very strong, it is very strong. So, if it is very strong, it can be used to cut other one which is quite strong and for crushing purpose also. Then copper, see, copper is, if you ask me the metal that has been widely used by many people in order to enhance the development, I would say it is a copper from the olden age, right. So, alloy of a copper, it has been made in the new age, that is called Bronze Age, and it has been widely used. Copper is widely used for making coins, and along with the gold it is made as an ornament, and wires, water pipes and various electrical parts. In order to manufacture all those things, copper is widely used here. Then gold, we know that gold very expensive, used to make ornaments, coins. In order to enhance the luxury living, it is widely used. In jewelry, it has been widely used in the form of along with the copper, which means 91.6% of a gold, remaining percentage can be used as a copper, as a, that is being sold as an hallmark, right. Then followed by, in order to electroplate, which means, yeah, I do not have lots and lots of money to buy a golden pen, but if I have a money to get gold coated pen, what I would use is, I will use this iron pen, and I will be, with the help of an electrolytic refining, I will be able to coat the top of the layer alone as a gold. So, that process is called as electroplating, right. So, this can be widely used for making golden watches, gold coated watches, etc. Some people, they are capable of using the gold teeth also, okay. So, it is widely used to manufacture various jewelries, etc. Right. See, for research purposes, they will be using electrodes also as a gold, as a thin strip, right. Gold nanoparticle is also used in order to increase the increase the efficiency of the solar cells, and it is widely used as a catalyst. So, here comes the end of the unit 1 with the application part, and in this class we have dealt with refining processes, started with electrolytic refining, zone refining, vapor phase refining and the uses of those metals that we have seen earlier, right. So, I hope you enjoyed this whole unit, and please let us know in the comment box below, so that motivation from the viewers is most expected in order to increase our productivity. So, kindly let us know the comments, whatever it may be, in the comment box below. And if you like this class, kindly like our channel and subscribe, and kindly share it to the other friends, those who are not aware of it, and for those whom it will be very much useful, right. So, here ends the session. Thank you all for being part of the session.